Hello and welcome to episode 36 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough, cycle 69, day 27. Got less than 1 day left in our current drought cycle, and I think things are going fantastically well as of late. Obviously these pumps are out of water to pump, but that will no longer be an issue in 0.6 days, and because we have this split currently, all of our water for irrigation is still safe and sound, and our layers are safely and soundly irrigated. But there's still tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff that needs to get done. And I think we are in a very good position to get quite a bit accomplished in today's episode. So, starting right from the bottom, bottom being the first comments that people left on last episode, it's been brought to my attention that this is a really inefficient way of having bad water go up. Not that we currently are using a whole lot of bad water in the first place, but having 6 pumps all prioritized by haulers with no local storage, probably not the best idea. So what we are going to have to do, because of the height here, is we are going to have a tank of water, or bad water rather, installed probably right about here, and set, of course, to bad water. And because of how this is set, it cannot be any higher because, well, that's the height of the layer. And thankfully, we already have a piece of path connected right here, so that's going to be looking good. We have a ladder right here already, so, not the end of the world, not the most efficient pathing solution, but it is accessible pretty easily. And then we do have our current tiny Tubeways station thing going all the way up to the top, which again, not the most efficient way of doing things, but it works, and right now that is going to have to be good enough. Other stuff frequently requested to complete layers and then move up in order, and I think we can do that, but before we go anywhere else, we have a problem with the amount of coffee we're going to be planting. I was wrong about how much we were going to need based on how this was set up. And I only planted enough coffee for about half of our eventual need, which means we have to have more. But we have an additional problem related to that, and that's this forester cannot reach any other parts of the map. So, if we want more coffee, it's going to have to grow naturally, like this stuff is. And that's probably okay, I think. Maybe. We'll see. But at any rate, we have a couple of options for improving this, and I want to turn our attention to the Tubeways, because this is going to be kind of a common theme as we go about our business in the next few episodes. I have a Tubeway set up. It's admittedly not very good, but it is connecting all the way up through the top, and it's connecting to our gatherer flag here, our gatherer flag here, but not any of these lumberjack flags. So I think what's going to make more sense is for us to get rid of these pathways here, especially around where the coffee bushes are, because these can be planted underneath overhangs. They're only, less than a block tall, so that's fine. And if I remove these paths right here, then I can have another entire row of coffee that is reachable by the forester and can be planted. Well, most of the thing there. But that's going to cause us to have a place to put the lumberjack flags. And we have this farmhouse right here. It does not need to be here. It's gone. This path here does not need to be here. It's gone. But wait, I can hear you saying the lumberjack flags and everything over here is disconnected. Okay, wrong subject-verb agreement there, but you still understood what I was saying. We can solve that problem to a certain degree with the help of pathing improvements over here. And there's other stuff I'd like to talk about in terms of how things are connected or are not connected, as the case may be. But we will get there when we get there. For now, putting this thing in here will be a massive improvement, and we'll continue working on some of our other things as time permits. But let's take a look here. This is, of course, our isolation for the water sources whenever we have bad water come in to prevent any sort of, contamination over here. I don't think we need to have these ladders here because we're not going to be having any need to get up there anymore. And this tiny Tubeways station here is not really a fantastic location. In fact, I'm very confused as to why I would have done it that way to begin with, but it's fine. Because this is up here, this actually gives us an interesting opportunity, because I don't want to get rid of anything above this. But since it is cycle 70, we're going to have to come back and talk about this in just a moment. Because now we have a whole bunch of clean water coming in that is going to need to be taken care of. Now, these 95 unemployed beavers, remember, a lot of that's because this is all disconnected over here. And as soon as this one ladder gets built, those problems will mostly be solved. I believe I've disconnected all of the builders' huts as a result of this, so we just have the 2 beavers who are working in the district center here. I'm not going to worry about messing with this right now, except I'm going to, so never mind, because I need to make sure that gets taken care of. We won't have clean water coming through here for a little bit, but we still need to make sure all of these pumps are ready to go so we can slowly start getting all of our stuff taken care of. Remember that even though this number is going to go down, we're going to have a whole lot of quote-unquote job vacancies. These are all set to have minimum priority, or most of them are, and the ones that aren't set for minimum are set to have reduced priority. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. They'll just take them out of these jobs and put them in the jobs that are important, and we can move on with our lives. That will take care of a whole bunch of other stuff. The other things that are going to become concerns pretty quickly as we start doing tubeways: metal consumption, which, by the way, currently is completely paused. And I know I keep saying I want to redo all of this, and this isn't like the best setup for all this, but we are really going to be hurting. Oh, this is horrible. I can't press tab. This is terrible. We're really going to be in a bad spot if we are not prepared. So, metal blocks specifically are going to be a huge, huge problem. So we want to get ahead of it if we at all possibly can, and that is why I'm building 6 additional things right here. I'm also going to put in ladders here, and then of course on this other side as well, just to keep things slightly more prepared. We can keep stacking this. Again, this is not going to be, hopefully, not going to be the final layout for all of our storage. It's just what we have. We're trying to make sure we can do things without, you know, taking a whole 5 episodes worth of, I'm going to put the storage in the right spot before we do anything else. Like, no, that's disrespectful to you as a viewer, and also not really how I like to play anyhow. So, they're going to get that built. I'm going to turn on all 3 of these smelters. So, every 2 hours, we will be consuming 6 scrap metal. We do have a decent reserve. It's only 500. But we need to make sure that the mine is set to produce at least 6 scrap metal every 2 hours. Currently, every 3.6 hours, it's producing 5. And that makes my head hurt when I try to do math. So if we can get this down to 1.8, which actually I guess is about as fast as this is going to go anyway, that should help us out substantially. It does mean more beavers. It does mean more treated planks. So now we have to have, every 1.8 hours, 1 treated plank. And we are currently producing 0, because all of these are paused. So, it shouldn't be too hard to keep up with that. We just have to have 2 wood workshops. Pine resin, again, it's a whole thing. We're going to have every 1.5 hours a thing of pine resin. So that is a little bit harder to quantify, and I'm not going to attempt to do it, but we do have some pine trees ready to go. We are going to need to cut down the dead ones and let these spread naturally, just so we have a... That is the wrong... Oh, of course. I think this is all supposed to be pine trees. Yeah, okay. So, that will allow this to spread just a tiny bit. Remember that this is all going to be removed as we, make our way through all of this other nonsense. So, just have to have... You know what? We have so much wood, I don't even need to worry about it. I'm just going to have them demolish this, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Moving on. So we talked about this with the tubeways, and I need to have a spot to put the lumberjacks in. Sorry for the detour. I just have to remember how I'm doing all this stuff. Easiest thing for us to do is going to be to just relocate these to be in slightly different locations. As long as they can reach, if the pathing isn't completely optimal, it's still fine. It's going to be okay. This, of course, has us get down here to the path. So that's fine there. I don't want to take up one of these spaces. And this is probably also fine if I just put these 2 lumberjack flags here. What that's going to allow me to do is lumberjack flag away, and then, assuming I manage not to screw this up, there we go. Now we have space for some coffee bushes, very conveniently, and I am going to have this be trees just because that's going to be a little bit easier. So hopefully you can see my my thought process here. That can also just be regular oaks. But this forester can't reach over here, which brings us to the other part of this whole thing. I hope you guys can follow this. I'm sorry if you can't, but we need to have additional foresters. The math has been done for us again. Thank you very much to the few dedicated members of the comment section who have taken on the burden of all of this basic arithmetic that I apparently have no brain capacity to commit. But we're going to have more or less just 2 foresters to keep up with the demand for the wood for the purpose of generating food that we need for 1,000 beavers. I have a single forester right now. And I don't have anywhere else I can put it because this was a 3-block high layer. Had I known all of the problems we were going to be having with this since the beginning, I would have made the first layer 4 blocks high and just dealt with it. But that is not what we did, and it's too late to change everything now. So instead, people have floated a couple different ideas, and I think if we can find a couple places where we can stick a forester at the edge of the map, or closer to the edge of the map, without interrupting things, all we'd have to do would be to take out a single piece of terrain, but it's hard to know which one would actually be the best one to remove, because all of these are dependent on each other, except maybe this very, very middle one right here is probably the safest one, well, on any of these things on the 7 side. Safest one to take out on the very edge. If we were to do that, we would have to have the forester be, I believe, right here. Which, putting that right there, would not be the worst location. If you can see all of this, it's going to give us access to this entire corner, which again is not super ideal, but it would allow us to plant the rest of the coffee and a few blueberry bushes and expand all of our pine tree stuff. Because remember, these things here are just here because there's a space that was available and I couldn't reach it with the forester anyway. So I think I'm going to commit right now to doing just that, which means this piece right here is going to need to go away, and then this will have to be dynamited. It should not be a problem. We'll just need to do what we have to do. This corner here is not going to be irrigated, so basically ever. So you might be thinking, why don't we put a forester in the very corner? Well, the other problem with that is because of the way this is set up, if I were to take out one of these blocks of land, then a whole lot of the rest of these would also go away. And wait a second, no, this is irrigated. Oh, okay, it's because of the water coming in. Never mind. So I guess some of the time this might have coffee bushes and it might actually be a viable thing. All right, well, you know what? I am not afraid to admit that I'm wrong. Usually. That's fine. So this guy right here, going to be a forester. This guy right here can't reach all the way to this side, which means we need to find another place in this general area to put a forester. And my answer would probably have been right about here, but this is where we have berries. And then, okay, well, what if we put it over here? Well, this is where we have the dirt excavators. So now we get to the other fun part, is what if we moved dirt excavators? These are 5 by 6 with a requirement in front of that 6 to have an entrance, and at some point you have to have some sort of power connection. So that really does limit where we can put this stuff. But I really liked the idea, posed in the comments, of putting in this general area another one of these guys, and only one of them somewhere over here between our mine and our bad water source. The way this is laid out, though, currently, is not going to allow that to happen. So how do we solve that problem? Well, this is a 3-block high layer, which is just high enough to fit this in. If I were to remove this pylon right here, that would cause us a lot of problems, because then this would not be supported up here, and this is currently, well, at some point going to be used as some sort of growing, and also has a whole lot of support. So this exact spot isn't going to work. It basically is only ever going to fit in a complete 5x7 area in between 4 columns. Well, not technically in between, but bounded by, I guess we should say. So that means it has to go either here, not here, although it might fit. It might fit there. Probably going to have to go here or here would be my best guess. If I were to put it here, we would lose a substantial amount of breeding pods, but most of these are paused anyway. It's not a big deal to relocate them, and we need to do that at some point. If I were to put it here, we'd lose more trees, but here is probably going to be the best option, just going by accessibility. I know we do have the tiny tubeway station here. I'm not totally in love with how this is laid out, but it wouldn't be too difficult for us to put in a vertical tubeway all the way through here. Remember that this is our entrance here, and the only reason this goes down this far is because I wanted to connect it there. We could have gone all the way down. So if we make a commitment right now, and by we I mean me, to have this be the area where we're going to put our single, if that's even one of the things that's going to be enough to provide everything, we'll talk about that. If we just put this right here, it's not going to let me show it because there's stuff in the way. But so let's come over to, say, right here. This is what it would end up looking like. We'd have the doorway, but right into the support for our, what do you call it? So that's obviously not going to work. And no, you cannot tunnel under this. The game does not let you. It says, nope, no can do. You can't even place it. Don't even think about it. So that unfortunately does remove that as an option. But we still have this here, which we could probably have a reasonable amount of, now it wants to do it, probably have a reasonable amount of success popping it. Remember, one tile this way. I just can't show the ghost outline. Then have that connect here into that, and it wouldn't be too hard to get another engine over here. Plus, it's really awkward to get any amount of planting done over here. So I think that's what's going to make the most sense. So I'm going to unplant all of those trees. They will be cut down at a time of the beaver's choosing, and probably not a moment before. All these that are paused, let's go ahead and remove. We can rebuild them at some other point in time and not have to worry about too much else. But these guys here, as they pop beavers out, we're going to unpause other ones over here. In fact, let's just unpause these right now. They're adult breeding pods, so it doesn't really matter how many we have going at any given time. But you know how this goes. I hate it when things are lopsided with these, because it just bothers me fundamentally, even though it really doesn't matter and I shouldn't be worried about it. It's fine. Oh, now I remember. Somebody asked me, I do not remember who it was, I'm sorry, but somebody asked me to go back to the old name for these, which was Baby Beaver Brewing Buckets, I think is what I called them at some point. So you're welcome. There you go. Oh boy, let's get all these turned back on here. We're still on triple speed? Yeah. I shouldn't be babysitting these. I really shouldn't be wasting my time doing it, but old habits die hard. Sometimes they die hard with a vengeance, but I digress. This is going to be where that goes. Now let's do a little bit of napkin math, I say, as I'm intending not to write any of this on a napkin, on dirt consumption. This, fully staffed every 2 hours, gives, oh, stopped at 99%, gives us 6 pieces of dirt. The only thing that consumes dirt in quote-unquote vanilla Timberborn is the mud bath. And it consumes in terms of constant supply. And this requires, per mud bath, every hour, half a piece of dirt. So scale this up to 2 hours. In 2 hours, it requires 1 piece of dirt. This dirt excavator, in 2 hours, can produce 6. So, in theory, one dirt excavator, assuming all else equal, can support 6 mud baths. Each of these can allow 8 visitors. 6 times 8 is 48. I do remember that much. But if we have 1,000 beavers, 6 mud baths isn't going to cut the mustard. So, unfortunately, I'm not convinced we will be able to get away with just one dirt excavator. But I still want to have one over here and explore options for not having all of this, take up all this space. We can, if we want to get a little funky with it, we do have the ability to put in, say, one here, one here. We can put in one here, and not be as in the way. That honestly might be a better way to do it. Because then I could just, to a certain extent, I could just reproduce this entire thing here. And then this would be closer to the center. Well, it would be the same distance to the center from this. I just can't make up my mind, can I? Oh, you know what else would be good? Yeah, this would actually... Oh boy. See, this is what happens. This is what happens, folks. Also, I haven't marked any of these for cutting. This is what happens when you use your brain. I know. A very, very rare thing. So, sorry to waste time talking about this. Well, I guess it's not wasted time if we learned something, but I do still feel bad when I take up time, because I never edit this stuff. That's just how we do these things here, whether you like it or not. Yeah, moving these is going to be the smart choice and gets them a little bit closer to our infrastructure stuff at the very top, coming right up through. So, it's fine. But now, we have storage for this, which means we can investigate productivity. That says 61, 83, 76, 89, 65, 90. That's a whole lot better. It's a ton better, which means I can now swap that over and unburden our haulers for this, because that is so much work for them to be doing for almost no reason, even though we have a lot of them. This is close enough. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So, all of that to say, it's time to come in here with some dynamite and really get this show on the road. We also need to increase our beaver population, which we're going to discuss various strategies for that. But let's come over here. I know now that I don't actually need to remove these, this is kind of a stupid thing that I've done here, but it wouldn't be the first time. Definitely would not be the first time. Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on. No, I definitely did a stupid. That's not going to work. Man, come on. I can't have anything. This is so dumb, man. Why am I the way that I am? Well, man, I can put one here. I can put one here, and I can still put one here. I guess that's going to have to be good enough. Do I even really need to move this away from here? It would clean up pathing a lot if I did. Yeah, okay. I know this is absolutely just tilted some of you, and I'm mostly sorry. I'm not entirely sorry, but I am mostly sorry. We'll deal with that at some other point in time. Oh, boy. B for boom. And now we get to come in here with our forester. What do you mean that didn't work? Oh, no. Oh, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. I guess I have to have both of these gone. Alright, well, see, this is why I didn't want to do this. Wait a second. Did I just see an unauthorized block of dirt here? I absolutely did. Well, we can also fix that. Not going to be a terribly difficult thing. Oh, the things you see, the things you learn, the things you don't learn, and then people tell you you're dumb for not knowing it. It's fine. Bring us our explosives so that we may detonate them. we have to blow up much more than this, then this plan is not going to work out. All right. Mercifully, we've managed to get this put in place. Boy, that was a whole thing. But you know how it goes. Now this forester can come over here, plant all of our coffee bushes in the corner, and then we can move on with our lives to a certain degree. Now, some of these are not going to be plantable at all times, and that is, yeah, it's fine. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. These berry bushes are not going to have any problem spreading organically, and we also are not running out of berries, so I'm not going to lose any sleep over this. Don't forget, this platform, this little thing right here, is also going to go away at a time that I determine it is actually viable. So I've got space here between these two that isn't actually doing anything. We probably don't actually need to do this, but in the spirit of, you know, allowing you guys to have agency over the playthrough, I will go ahead and do this, even if it's not strictly speaking necessary. Get all the rest of this taken care of and move on from there. This lumberjack flag right here probably doesn't need to be in this exact spot, but it also doesn't really matter where it goes, because I'm going to have this be... I'm not going to worry about it. We got all this other stuff to take care of. These trees, we have so many trees. You know what? I don't want to wait for this. I really don't. I'm not going to feel bad, or I'm not going to be made to feel bad by removing these. Oh, not that one. That's not the ones that need to be demolished. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. We can save all that. I am determined to have this make sense for it to work. Your patience is greatly appreciated. Not to steal City Planner Plays thunder or anything, but I do like his, at the end of all of his videos, where he says about stuff like, oh, you have a million ways you can spend your time, you choose to spend some of it with me. I like that. Obviously, I can't steal that, but I feel very similarly about each of you, and I'm glad you choose to spend your time with me. And for that reason, I want it not to suck. So, you know how this goes. You know how this stuff goes. We're going to get this beaver popped out of here, and then I am going to remove this one. And we'll have to investigate where we can put some other stuff. But I can take this path out for sure. Get this routed around here. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. Just a lot of stuff to consider when we're working with this. We have a bad water thing coming in 2.1 days. Oh, I know I don't need to worry about it, but it always fills me with a very small amount of worry that maybe something is going to go horribly wrong that I didn't anticipate and am not going to be able to recover from. I don't know. This is kind of a stressful playthrough. I'm not going to lie to you. Alright, get this thing finished. Pop that beaver out, and away you go. So this goes here. Not the most optimal setup. Yes, I am very well aware. However, comma, it's kind of satisfying to rapid fire that. That also gets me into some trouble when I delete things that aren't supposed to be deleted. So this will go here. This and this will need to be connected to some sort of power, which, because of the irrigation barriers, we do have a little bit of a problem getting power shafts installed. However, comma, I really probably should stop using that, but I have all of this space available for power shafting. Whatever power shafting means as a verb. I guess maybe that's something I should have thought about before saying, but you know what? We ride. Away we go. So that gets connected in there, and this very easily will be able to get connected pathwise, even though the doorway is right in front of a, what do you call it? I know I'm very, very scientific with my terms here. I'm going to move that to that side just because it's going to be a slightly shorter route to this mess here. And then this doesn't really have to have a ladder here, but it's already there, so no real reason to get rid of that. We'll just get that connected to there. Now I have to have a, what do you call it? Yeah, I know, very scientific term. I have to have an engine, which also has to be connected to something, and maybe there's a better way to do it. But I don't really think there is. That's worth all of my time trying to figure it out, at least. So that will go there. This, I know it's lopsided, but it's going to mean we get all of this space back. We will have to have storage for dirt in at least one place. And the way that this has been set up, I know I need to redo this, but I think I could put at least one dirt storage here, but honestly, we're not hurting for space on the tree front. It's just organization on this bottom level is a mess, and it will probably remain a mess for quite some time, and that's just the way she goes. But I believe they should be able to access this. I don't think it's going to be a problem. We'll just let them keep doing that. But we have 1,600 dirt. We have a ton of dirt storage. But right now we're not really consuming it, so away we go, away we go, away we go. And away we go. How many times can I say that? I don't know, but I should probably stop. Get these guys to empty all this out, and then we'll remove everything, move on with our lives, and then this can be reclaimed for other purposes like growing trees or berries. But I don't think we're going to have berries because we've already kind of done the math on that, and it seems to have worked out to some degree. I will take these out, so this could definitely be trees. And then all of that to say, yes, we can and probably should put another one of these guys. Oh, of course. These medical beds. Well, it's empty. So, oh, this one's not empty, though. How injured are you? Oh, you got up. You got up. Move your feet, lose your seat. There you go. Goodbye. That one can get demolished. These will be removed. Okay, so they haven't gotten this out, but they've gotten that out. I guess this will be next. Is this optimal? No. We've already talked about this. It's going to be fine. We don't need to be super worried about it. Also, this this here is definitely not supposed to be a thing. It just is. Oh, I feel like I'm fumbling this so hard. I'm so sorry. Well, mostly. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Good news is, we now have 1,400 metal blocks instead of 700. Oh, bad tide started. Oh, no, I have to panic about this. Hold on. Like, there's no logical reason for me to be worried about this. But I always do get worried. Okay. Well, that problem has been solved. Let's pause a number of these, because we have 27 days. And I'm only going to leave, let's say, 3 of those pumping. Even though we still have tons of stuff over here, there's no reason to keep pumping with all of these vacancies when we have 24,000 stored. Things are looking very, very good. We don't need to be so worried about everything. All right. This is now ready to go. Goodbye. So long, farewell. What's the... is that Out of the Box show on Disney Channel from like 25 years ago? Anyway. That's all gone, which means this is space that we can do fun stuff with. B for boom. And away we go with another forester. Yes, I am putting in a path here. No, long term this probably doesn't need to be a path, but it's what we have currently. So that's what we're going to be working with. I'm going to plant this entire corner with blueberries, just because that's going to be the easiest thing for us to be doing. Just mark this all as plantable, and then we'll come in here as well and plant some additional ones. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But I am required to do whatever I can to make this suck a little bit less, because I know we're already in episode 36, and I know a lot of people would rather have had this just be completely done. I guess since we're here, we can talk about something else that's come up in the comments a few times. People want me to put in a levee, or not a levee, that would flood everything, a dam piece or a floodgate or something. There's really no reason for this. Not at all. Not in the slightest. We have enough water coming into the pumps. Our storage is full, so they're not even working anyway. And there's Unless I have missed a whole bunch of stuff, there's absolutely no reason for us to do this. There's already enough water here to be pumped. This isn't going to affect the flow rate at all. And we can just move on from there. But it does keep coming up, so I did want to address it. This says it's not connected to... Stop saying no. You first. I forgot that I had to put this here, so that would help explain a lot about what has occurred in the past couple minutes in this spot. Just bring this plank over here, 6 of them, preferably. Get this thing built, and then I will remove the corner. And then I will pop in very simply... Oh, there's a path here. No, not the beaver. Come on. There we go. Pop that in there. And pop that in there. Is it ugly? Yes. Does it work? Also yes. Therefore, the ugly doesn't matter. But now this has become disconnected because I don't have this on the bottom. And now it's fine. Everything is perfect. Kind of. A little bit, maybe. This is marked for collection. Log storage, we are not in particularly great need at this exact moment. But life goes on. So yes, this is going to get connected all the way out to here, which is going to mean I can take this out right here. I guess this is also a good time to ask you guys, do you like the method I'm attempting to produce this episode with, where I'm trying to do one layer at a time? I know some people did specifically ask for this, but some of you, I'm sure, prefer other methods where we just attack a bunch of problems regardless of where they are whenever I think about them. So please feel free to voice your suggestions, ideas. Wait a second, this is Coffee. Get out of here. Get out of here, Coffee. You don't belong here. Ah, this forester can't reach all the way. Okay. I knew there was a reason why I had not done this. Okay, well, we can just leave this the way it was. That's fine. This can reach all the way in the corner, but that's not irrigated, so that's fine. It's still not 100 coffee bushes, but we will get there in due time. It's amazing the stuff that I forget with this. Okay, if I take this lumberjack flag out, then I can remove all of these pathways here, and only the pathways. Then I can plant additional berry bushes. Again, I probably am not going to need them, but this is just a good spot for me to do that. Then this pathway here can also go away, but this is a tiny tubeway station, so this would be a great place for us to put one of those lumberjack flags, and then we're not going to need to have any more paths all the way over here once we have everything else built. Remember, folks, it's a process, and it does, in fact, take time. We'll get there. We have 8 homeless beavers. We're also going to address that if I have the time and mental fortitude in this exact episode to do that. But I believe blueberry planted here will be just fine. These guys will grow up. They'll get this all filled in. I just had to make sure that was unmarked. We have to connect the middle to the outside, which is, if you remember from the levels up here, this is how I chose to do that. I've got a tiny tubeway station, and then it's elevated above, and then it goes back down to this outer loop. For us to do something like that over here, we would require removal of some trees. And I know there's not really any reason to do it the same way that I've done it up in these levels, but I do, generally speaking, like stuff to match, whether or not it is a logical conclusion. Feel free to argue amongst yourselves, but I like it when things make sense in the context of other things, even if they aren't the most logical overall conclusion. If it's a predictable thing that I can look at and know it's all the same, then I don't have to worry about it. My brain just decided it needed to reboot in that exact moment. But we'll get there. We're going to be all right. Just have to take care of a couple more things here. These lumberjack flags need to go away. There was math done on lumberjack flags. I do not remember what those numbers were. I apologize. But we will be able to slowly start taking care of some other stuff here. I guess I probably didn't need to have this up on stuff, and I know this is going to get messed up. Oh, I shouldn't do all of this just on the fly, but it's just so much easier. So much easier to do this way. All right. I know there's no real compelling reason for pausing the game to do this. Look, it's just... You know, if you own a car for a really long time, you know exactly how it likes to be driven to minimize problems. Well, I've owned this mine for a very long time, and I usually know how it likes to be driven to avoid causing problems. If that doesn't make sense, I apologize. But, you know how it goes. It's fine. I actually think because we have these things set up here... Oh, I'm not going to be able to get rid of that because I've already built it. I should have made the bottom of this a tiny two-way station. Well, live and learn, I suppose. I instead will put this here. And then, because of this, I'm going to do... Yeah, I don't need to have this paused. I hope at least some of you can appreciate the sheer firing from the hip of it all when it comes to me making these videos. It is a specific style that doesn't always work, but I feel like more often than not it's fun, or at least it's fun for me to make. Point being, lumberjack flags go away. These paths go away. All of this goes away. As well as that. They should be able to actually build all this with minimal weeping or gnashing of teeth. Oh, it's 90... I don't care. I have 1,700 logs. It's not going to be an issue. So all of this and this, because now I feel very comfortable removing it, will go away. This water has to evaporate first, but we definitely don't need to be worried about this anymore. Just have to be able to keep everything alive, and then we can slowly change other things around. We will, we'll get there. We'll get there. I know starting with the bottom layer just made the most sense, just because there's so much stuff that has to get fixed. And I know it's going to be a process, but I think it's going to be enjoyable to have this done so we don't have to worry about it again. So this forester cannot reach all the way to the middle. Neither can this one. That's why I'm leaving this one here. I know this is 3 foresters, and technically, we probably only needed 2. But this way we have complete coverage of all of the parts of the bottom of the map that are currently being used for growing trees, with the exception of like this little bit right here. I think we're okay. I don't think we're going to need to worry about this basically ever again. But I want to be absolutely sure that I'm not going to run into any additional problems that I'm not going to be able to solve at a later point in time. So, because this is a little cutout here right now, does not mean we have to put a lumberjack flag. It's going to become a tree. I just need to make sure that I have enough lumberjack flags to cut everything down, and I'm going to have to scroll down and see all this. I'm sorry. Trees. I don't think we're going to need that many lumberjacks, and I really should have opened up that comment before I started the recording again. Well, we'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. You know, we have enough time to do all of this with no problems anyway. All right, stop fumbling over your words and just keep moving on. You got it. Let's... Why is this not... Okay, well, that's fine to have a tree there. And that needs to be marked for cutting. These pine trees should be left alone. This should be spreading, and it will be. Things are looking okay. Looking okay here. Looking okay here. Not, you know, tremendous, but I believe it's about as best as I can do with all of these coffee bushes, short of just having more over here. Since I have 2 of these here, I suppose I will just put coffee bushes there because it is an option that exists. And I think I can grow one right there. To some degree. We'll just leave that alone. But I really need to get tubeways put in the correct locations. Alright, now is the time. Our population is growing. Now is the time to get rid of this builder's hut. These campfires probably can stay, but I have to get rid of this ladder here. This is just cramping so much style. Just get out of here. You don't need it. Don't need it. Pop that last bit in place there, and I am going to reconnect this with a path, but it's going to be a long journey to get there. I need to get... I gotta get this corner back here. And I'm not talking about the defense. Football on the brain. This is going to need to have a spot here. I guess I can leave this tooth grindstone here and instead replace this with a tiny tubeway station. That should be a pretty simple thing for us to do, just to have access to that. Because it's already here, why not? But I need to be careful about how I have everything else popped in. That can go there, that can go there. Put another one of these guys, maybe a lumberjack flag, or I'll do 2 of them right here. That can be another one of these guys. I just have to make sure I'm not going to cut any paths off. That is... Okay, because that path didn't need to exist. That didn't need to be there. If I get rid of this, is that going to be connected to anything, or is it not? Okay, nothing broke. That's a good sign. Paths away. Alright. Now, when I remove this, we're going to run into some, well, potentially run into some problems. But before we do that... Ooh, yeah, you know what? This would be a great thing to tie into the stuff, but if I have my 4x, that's going to look a little tiny bit better. Tiny tubeway station right here. I'm not going to, have this whole mess just be tubeways. Not everything has to be 100% tubeway. Sure does end up looking a whole lot better when it is, but strictly speaking, it is not necessary. Everything else should be accessible. Ah, this is going to have a two-way station. But that's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm leaving this path here in case I want to put in additional lumberjacks later. Just a little easier to do it that way. Now if I remove this, I can pop a station in here. Just directly facing it, that's fine. I don't think we really need to be that worried about other pathing stuff. Feel free to disagree and tell me this is a terrible idea. Okay, that is a terrible idea. I know I had to fix that. But I'm always open to ideas. Constructive criticism, so on and so forth. This is a let's play, not a watch me play, as I have said and said and said and said and said again, and again and again and again and again and again and again and again. So yeah, that's, I guess, just going to be a tree. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. It's marked for cutting. Yes, it is. Okay, so now that I've removed all of these guys and the intermediaries here, let's take a look at all of our lumberjack flags. We have 11. I want to say the magic number is probably closer to 9 or 10. I could be wrong. I will probably go and read, comment on that again and find out just as soon as I finished recording this video. But where this is now is probably fine. Let's just check and see location-wise. That can reach almost every tree. That can reach a lot of trees. That can reach comparatively fewer trees, but is probably still fine. And also one that could be removed. That's not connected. It will be. That one is also not connected. It will be. This one's fine in the middle. This one's fine in the corner. Honestly, this is fine. This guy up here does not need to exist. And also can't reach anything. So goodbye. This... Wait, what? Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. That probably doesn't need to be in this corner, but I'm going to leave it for right now. That's fine. That's fine. So I guess there's no spots without coverage, which is the goal when you're doing all of this, to have correct coverage everywhere. So I guess this is fine. It's not the most beautiful solution ever, but it's fine. Fine is the word. This isn't going to reach there anyway. I guess that's that. Cool. We'll just move on from there. So obviously this is not complete. There's still a lot to do, but we are starting to come up on the hour mark, and I want to make sure there's a couple other things that we can take care of. But regarding the berries, I am very confident that our berry situation is about as good as it possibly can be, or will need to be. So our maximum amount of berries needed would be about 400. This might not be 400, but it's pretty stinking close. And I think we are fine. Now, the gatherers are going to be a different story entirely. We might need a couple more gatherer flags. But we can scale that relatively easily just by taking individual trees out and putting a couple more flags here and there. We'll worry about that when we get to it. Keep in mind, most of our berry burden is not going to become a thing until we try to sustain 1,000 beavers. And that can be significantly helped by having higher well-being. A lot of these numbers are based on 0 well-being in terms of the amount of farmers and stuff that we have to take care of things. Because beavers that live longer, because they have higher well-being, will not need to be replaced as quickly. We'll still have to have 1,000 beavers, but we'll get there when we get there. This corner here, once this is all built, I'm going to consider quote-unquote complete. I can't get this levee out of here until all the water goes away. Well, I could, but then the trees would get flooded and the berries would get flooded, and I don't know how long it would take for that to go out. Next thing we have to do is put in tubeways all the way down here. And see, I don't know how willing I am to commit to this at this point in time, because I don't have another place to put all of these builders' huts and everything. So forgive me, but I do think we're going to depart from the first layer for today and come back at a later point in time to deal with this mess. But the big thing I really needed to take care of was path removal on this side and making sure we had enough lumberjacks and making sure that we have trees and stuff put in. And in that regard, it has been a success. We've moved the dirt excavators. I don't have any more dirt storage over here, but that hasn't seemed to stop them. I think it's fine for right now. This, in theory, the 2 dirt excavators will support 12 mud baths. I know that's not technically enough for 1,000 beavers, but it's going to be a big start. And if we have enough storage, it should mostly be okay. Boy, all right. Up we go. Next level. This one's a mess. This is absolutely, irrefutably a mess. And I did say we're going to go level by level, so I'm not going to mess with any other levels for farming optimization except this one today. And we will need to talk about corn. I thought last episode we had gotten all of the corn planted that we're going to need for 1,000 beavers, but I think my math was slightly off because I wasn't really accounting for all of these paths and the corner that is not always irrigated. And in the spirit of, trying to do this correctly, I will be adding additional corn. Not a ton, but just, I guess, future-proofing a little bit by going to this bit here and then this bit here. That'll get us, theoretically, in the neighborhood of 600-ish. I don't want to sit here and do the math, but guaranteed without this corner and with all the paths and everything. The tubeways would not solve our problem with pathing on this level in terms of removing path and having additional corn space, because the corn is a 2-block high crop and this is a 2-block high level. What it will do, however, is give us greater mobility and make it possible for us to have farmers have a little bit more range, which honestly probably doesn't matter, but speed up things considerably. This gather flag also can go away. And I guess I can just leave these guys here. We have 2,600 beavers. I better check and make sure I have medical. I have 25 medical beds. They're coming to my house with pitchforks now. Build more medical beds or we will burn down your home and everything you love. Okay, well, please don't do that. There you go. They're not going to be here forever. But in this moment, there will be enough medical beds. Please extinguish your pitchforks and tiki torches now. Thank you very much. All right. Pathways here can be replaced slowly with some of these tubeways. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an entrance here facing this way, so we do have the pathway and they can walk around outside of this. You can't just directly abut a tubeway entrance into the farmhouse, or the farmhouse isn't going to have any range. So now that we hopefully can understand that, I will have to have... I don't need to pause the game to do this, do I? But I will anyway. I need to figure out exactly what our situation on orientation with all this is going to be. The 6x are fine. See, this is where this comes out here. If I put this here, then I can have another two-way entrance here. We'll lose a little bit on that, but I'm not worried about it. Keep in mind, if you block access out of a farmhouse in a specific direction, then that will reduce the range. Range here isn't specifically an issue, but there's no reason to make it worse than it has to be, in my opinion at least. So let's put that up there. And then this obviously is going to connect all the way up here no matter what. So I actually, you know what? I actually don't have to have another entrance right here because there's an entrance right here. What I will need to do is get this to go around the corner, which unfortunately is going to be slightly suboptimal, but it doesn't really matter which overhangs I use to build this because the end result is going to be the same no matter what. Alright, so 6x here. Have this go again. Could it be slightly more beautiful? Yes. But most things could be slightly more beautiful at any given moment in time, so no need to be worried about that. I'd like to avoid having this be a tubeway station just because that's going to prevent a lot of access. So instead... Oh, I guess they started building that. If I come out of here with 5x, and then I have this set up here, that's still not quite what I want to be doing. Why am I such a stickler about this? It really doesn't matter. You are absolutely correct, and I unfortunately don't have an answer for you. Sometimes that's just the way things go. If I do a 4x here, then I can put... Keep in mind, these are going to be covered all the way around anyway. I just have to have the station in a place where it's not going to cut off access to the crops. So that station is going to go there. If I start here with that, I might as well do a 6x. Do that, and then going around the corner here, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a station here. But this also doesn't really connect to anything over here, so I think at this point I'm just kind of, you know, building infrastructure for the sake of having infrastructure, even if it's not, strictly speaking, needed. Why did I start here instead of in the corner? I don't know. I don't know. The world may never know. It's like the, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop thing? I don't know. I never found out because I never licked them. I just chomped them. That's what the owl told me to do. That means it's okay, right? I feel myself slowly descending into insanity, so it's probably about time to end this episode. But I did want to make sure that this got everything else taken care of. So I'm going to let them build this while we do our end of episode fun stuff. I really do appreciate you guys watching this series and giving me some good tips, hints, feedback, the occasional crash out in the comments, all that very welcome and necessary. Because, you know, it's a let's play, not a watch me play. If I just ignored everything you said, then you guys probably would get really frustrated and stop watching the videos, and I don't want that to happen. So, always going to value your input. Please do tell me when I'm wrong. I might get a little irritated, but I'm going to take it to heart, and I'm going to make sure that we try to make this the best playthrough we possibly can. I'm still having a lot of fun with this, even though it's really, really frustrating sometimes. But I think we're going to make something truly special and rewarding at the end of this. Right now, again, I'm planning at least 40 episodes, maybe 45. Depends on how quickly we can get everything else taken care of. But it truly is just going to take time, and we will have to wait and see just how much time it's going to take. All that being said, Beard Boosters, of course, could not do it without you. Supporting the channel truly does make it possible to continue doing all of this stuff without trying to chase the algorithm or panicking because views are down or the monetization scheme changes slightly. It's a little bit of consistency that truly goes a long way in making it possible to treat this as a more or less full-time job at this point, which I cannot be thankful enough for. You already know. We've said it a billion times, but if I ever missed a video saying it, that I would feel terrible not acknowledging the people that literally make this possible. So we're going to go ahead and cut this episode off here. I will, before we are completely done, make sure that we have at least some way of getting from here to here, which in this case is going to mean this one gets prioritized, this one gets prioritized, this one gets prioritized, this one gets prioritized, and so does this one. And this one. That will make it possible to go from the central core all the way to the corner, because this is the corn level, and it's the corner. I know you guys love that one so much. But removal of our unnecessary pathways, again, on this level isn't really going to do much, so I'm not going to take them off. But just know, the other levels, we're going to do it. This one, right now it just doesn't make sense. But that's where we're going to leave it. I know I'm going to have to come up with another thumbnail for this because the last one was this very same corner, and like, you can't have the same thumbnail 2 days in a row. 2 videos in a row. It's not 2 days in a row. Anyway, my mind has been sufficiently exhausted by attempting to do this for an hour, so this is where I leave. Have a great rest of your day. Come check out the Leaf Coats playthrough. That's weird to say that for the first time. We're doing it in a live stream. If you watch this video when it came out, for normal people, sheesh. For non-beard boosters, then we're going to be starting in an hour and a half by the time you got to this part of this video, if I got my time correct. But yeah, Saturday afternoons, 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, for the foreseeable future, unless I have something else I have to do, in which case I'll let you know, will be when we do Leaf Coats streams. And I'm very excited to get to that one. I think it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun, with a very, very creative faction design from Bobingabout, who made the Ember Pelts. But I digress. It's time to get out of here. Hit the reset button on my brain, export this video, and move on to the next. But I appreciate you guys. Whatever it is you're doing, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.